Have you ever wondered why so many older adults wake up at 3 a.m. and can't seem to fall back asleep? You might lie there in the quiet darkness, staring at the ceiling, wondering what's wrong with your body or your mind. The truth is, this is more common than you think, and it's not just a random habit or a result of getting older. In this video, we're exploring 5 powerful reasons why people tend to wake up around 3 a.m. as they age, and what those early morning wake-ups may be trying to tell you. Each reason reveals something deeper about your body, your health, and your life experience, and by the end of this video, you may see your sleep in a whole new light. These aren't just surface-level explanations. Either they're rooted in real physiology, psychology, and the rhythms of aging that most people aren't even aware of. We'll talk about changes in hormones, sleep patterns, health challenges, even emotional and social influences that could be quietly working behind the scenes. And we'll do it in a way that's honest, empowering, and deeply respectful of the life you've lived so far. So if you've ever found yourself waking up around 3 a.m. and asking, why now? You're in the right place. Stay tuned until the end, because what you learn here might not only help you sleep better, it could help you better understand and appreciate what your body's going through. Now, let's get started. Number 1, reduced melatonin production. One of the clearest reasons older adults wake up in the middle of the night, often around 3 a.m., is the natural decline in melatonin production that comes with age. Melatonin is the hormone that helps regulate our sleep-wake cycle, often called the body's internal clock, and it plays a key role in helping you fall asleep and stay asleep. When you were younger, your body likely produced a strong, steady amount of melatonin each night, allowing you to enjoy long stretches of deep, uninterrupted rest. But as the years go by, your body starts to make less of it, and that shift can have a real impact on how soundly you sleep. You might still fall asleep easily at night, especially if you've had a full day or a relaxing evening. But by the early hours of the morning, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., sometimes 4 a.m., that natural supply of melatonin can dip too low to keep you in that restful state. You may find yourself waking up not because of a loud noise or a dream, but because your brain is slowly shifting back toward wakefulness, without enough melatonin to hold you in sleep. This isn't something you're doing wrong, and it doesn't mean your body is failing. It simply means your internal chemistry is changing with age. What's more, the bedroom environment can make this effect worse. Even small amounts of light from a street lamp outside the window, a blinking clock on the nightstand, or a hallway light under the door can suppress melatonin even further. Your body becomes more sensitive to environmental triggers as you age, which can make that 3 a.m. wake-up feel all the more frustrating. Take, for instance, Harold, who's now 72 and always considered himself a good sleeper. Lately, though, he finds himself wide awake around 3:15 a.m. most nights. He doesn't feel anxious or upset, just fully alert, as if it's time to start the day. Once he understood that this wasn't a failure on his part, but a normal part of aging tied to melatonin, he stopped blaming himself and started adjusting his habits. He now keeps his bedroom darker, avoids screens an hour before bed, and takes a brief evening walk to reinforce his natural circadian rhythm. These small changes help signal to his body that it's still nighttime, and while he still wakes up early, sometimes he's learned to work with his body instead of against it. This kind of understanding can be a game changer. When you know that waking up early might not be your fault, but rather a natural chemical shift, you can take steps to support your sleep instead of resenting your body. That's the power of awareness. It turns frustration into compassion, and it helps you make wiser choices about how you care for yourself at night. Number 2, shifted sleep cycle and advanced sleep phase. Another significant reason older adults tend to wake up around 3 a.m. is due to a natural shift in the body's internal clock, a phenomenon known as advanced sleep phase. As we age, our circadian rhythms start to move forward, which means we may begin to feel sleepy earlier in the evening and wake up earlier in the morning. You might notice yourself nodding off during a late-night movie or waking up without an alarm at dawn, even on days when you wish you could sleep longer. This shift isn't just a matter of habit. It's deeply rooted in biology, and it can become more pronounced with each passing year. In younger years, the body's rhythm is often aligned with a later bedtime and a wake-up time that feels more in sync with the sun. But as this rhythm advances, the sleep window naturally shifts forward. You may fall asleep at 9 p.m. or even earlier without intending to, which means your body has already gotten its full cycle of rest by the time 3 a.m. rolls around. That's why you might find yourself wide awake in the middle of the night, feeling as though your rest is complete, even if it's still pitch dark outside. This doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It just means your body is operating on a different schedule now. Think of it like a clock that's been gently reset over the years, ticking ahead a little bit more each season. And while this isn't harmful, it can be frustrating. If your lifestyle, family routine, or personal preferences don't align with this new rhythm, there's also a quiet psychological side to this change. Many older adults live in quieter households or spend more time alone, and that peaceful environment can amplify the body's signals to wind down earlier in the day. Without the constant activity or noise that might have once delayed bedtime, your system begins its nightly shutdown process much sooner. And if you're no longer working full-time or following a strict daily routine, the lack of external time cues, like meetings, commutes, or social gatherings, can make this internal shift even stronger. Let's take a look at someone like Charles, who's 68 and retired. He often eats dinner around 5:30 p.m. and watches television for an hour before heading to bed. By 9 p.m., he's asleep, and by 3 a.m., his body's naturally ready to wake up. He doesn't feel anxious or stressed, just alert. At first, he thought it was insomnia, but once he learned about advanced sleep phase, he realized his sleep wasn't broken, it was simply rescheduled. Charles began adjusting his evening routine to stay up just a little longer, reading a book with a warm light, taking a gentle walk after dinner, and occasionally calling his daughter for a quick chat before bed. These small social and sensory cues help stretch his sleep window, just enough to shift his wake-up time closer to morning. The result? Fewer 3 a.m. wake-ups, and a deeper sense of alignment with his daily life. This natural shift in sleep cycle is something many older adults experience, but few talk about. Understanding it can remove a great deal of guilt or confusion, and offer a more compassionate way to work with your body instead of fighting it. So if you're waking up around 3 a.m. and it feels like you've had a full night's sleep, your body may simply be on an earlier schedule now. And once you know that, you can begin to shape your routine in ways that support your well-being. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, physical discomfort and health-related interruptions. Another common reason older adults wake up around 3 a.m. is the body's response to physical discomfort or underlying health issues that tend to surface during the quiet hours of the night. As we get older, the chances of dealing with chronic conditions or subtle health problems increase, and many of these conditions have a way of disrupting sleep without sounding loud alarms. They creep in quietly like a sore joint, a full bladder, or a sudden twinge in the back, and that's often enough to bring you out of a restful state, right in the middle of the night. Conditions like arthritis, for example, can make lying in the same position for hours uncomfortable. You may not notice the discomfort when you first fall asleep, but after several hours of stillness, those aches can build up enough to nudge you awake. For others, nighttime acid reflux may stir them from sleep, especially if they've eaten dinner too late or reclined too soon after eating. Even something as seemingly simple as dry mouth, muscle cramps, or a slight change in room temperature can trigger a light awakening around the early morning hours, when your body's defenses are already more sensitive and less forgiving than they used to be. One of the most common physical reasons older men wake up at 3 a.m. is the need to urinate. As we age, the bladder becomes less elastic and the urge to relieve it can come on faster and more frequently. You might not feel it during the day when distractions keep your mind occupied, but at 3 a.m., in a dark and quiet room, that sensation becomes impossible to ignore. And once you get up and move around, even if it's just to the bathroom, your body may have already shifted from deep rest to light alertness, making it harder to return to sleep. There's also the issue of medications, which many older adults take regularly for blood pressure, heart health, or pain management. These medications often come with side effects, like frequent urination, changes in body temperature, or increased sensitivity to noise or light that can silently affect sleep. You may not even realize the connection between your medicine and your sleep pattern until someone points it out or you begin tracking your habits more closely. Take Eleanor, for instance, a 76-year-old woman who has always been a relatively light sleeper. Over the past year, she started waking up consistently around 3:30 a.m. After months of thinking it was just aging, she spoke with her doctor and discovered that one of her medications was affecting her hydration levels and increasing her nighttime trips to the bathroom. With her doctor's help, she adjusted the timing of her dosage, added a few lifestyle changes, and now wakes up less frequently and returns to sleep more easily when she does. The important thing to remember here is that physical wake-ups don't mean your body is failing. They're actually signs that your body is still doing its job. It's responding, alerting, adjusting. These signals can guide you toward better care, more informed choices, and a deeper sense of trust in your own awareness. Waking up at 3 a.m. may feel like an inconvenience, but it can also be a quiet nudge to tune in, check in, and make small changes that support better health and deeper rest. Number 4, lifestyle habits that shift your sleep rhythm. Another powerful but often overlooked reason older adults find themselves awake at 3 a.m. lies in long-standing daily habits. Small routines and choices that, over time, quietly reshape your internal rhythm. Many older adults naturally begin eating dinner earlier, winding down sooner in the evening, and experiencing less physical activity during the day. These seemingly minor adjustments accumulate and can signal to the body that the night should begin earlier, which inevitably pushes the wake-up time earlier too. When your days become quieter, especially after retirement, your body no longer receives the same external cues it once relied on, like commuting, running errands, or engaging in physically or mentally stimulating tasks. Without those cues, the body's sleep-wake cycle may begin to drift forward. A calm, dimly lit evening with minimal stimulation can cause your brain to produce melatonin earlier, inviting sleep before you've even realized the clock has struck 9 p.m. And once you're asleep earlier, your body simply finishes its rest earlier, waking up in those still, pre-dawn hours, often right around 3 a.m. There's also a subtle relationship between food timing and sleep quality. Eating dinner early, while generally healthy, can sometimes lead to a dip in blood sugar levels overnight, especially if there's no light snack before bed. That dip may not feel like hunger, but it can still rouse the body from sleep. Similarly, caffeine consumed even in the early afternoon can linger in your system, especially as the metabolism slows with age, subtly lightening your sleep and making you more susceptible to waking up at any disturbance. For someone like Walter, who's 74 and recently retired, these changes crept in gradually. His days became less structured and his evenings more relaxed. He found himself having supper at 5 p.m., falling asleep in his recliner during the evening news, and heading to bed before 9 p.m. most nights. Without realizing it, his entire routine had shifted a few hours earlier. Before long, he began waking up around 3 a.m., puzzled by why he was wide awake before the birds even started singing. After reflecting on his routine, Walter began making small adjustments, adding a short walk in the afternoon, reading in brighter light during the evening, and avoiding naps after dinner. These changes helped push his natural sleep window just a bit later, allowing his body to settle into a rhythm that aligned more closely with his ideal wake-up time. What's remarkable is how often we overlook the power of routine. Our bodies crave rhythm, daily patterns that act like signals, telling the brain when it's time to rest and when it's time to rise. As those signals weaken or shift, the internal body clock can lose its bearings, leading to earlier and more fragmented sleep. But by noticing these patterns and making thoughtful adjustments, it's possible to gently guide the body back to a sleep cycle that feels more restorative and less disrupted. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, emotional and psychological restlessness. Sometimes waking up at 3 a.m. has less to do with the body and more to do with the mind. As we grow older, emotional layers that were once buried by the busyness of daily life can start to surface in the quiet of the night. These early morning hours, when the world is still and distractions are few, often become the stage where unspoken worries, regrets, or longings begin to stir. You may find yourself lying awake not because of noise or pain, but because your mind is quietly sorting through memories, unresolved thoughts, or subtle anxieties you didn't realize were still with you. This kind of restlessness is different from the full-blown anxiety that might strike in youth. It's quieter, more reflective. It can feel like a soft hum in the background, a sense that something is unsettled even if you can't quite name it. The mind, when not actively engaged, often reaches backward into old relationships, past decisions, losses endured, or words left unsaid. And because the body's no longer rushing from one responsibility to another, there's space for those thoughts to echo a little louder. It's also important to recognize that loneliness can play a role here. For many older adults, social circles shrink with time. Children move away, friends become busy, and routines change. The daytime might be filled with light and activity, but nighttime brings quiet, and with it, an awareness of that emotional gap. This kind of loneliness doesn't always feel heavy. Sometimes it shows up simply as a desire for connection, or a faint ache for someone to talk to when the house is still. Consider someone like Gloria, who's 80 and widowed. During the day, she keeps busy, tending her garden, calling her grandchildren, watching her favorite shows. But around 3 a.m., she often finds herself waking up, her thoughts, returning to moments she shared with her late husband, or to worries she keeps tucked away during the daylight hours. At first, she thought something was wrong with her sleep. But over time, she came to understand that her early waking wasn't about sleep at all. It was her heart asking to be heard. To support herself, Gloria started keeping a small journal by her bed. When she wakes up, she sometimes writes down whatever's on her mind. Nothing fancy, just a few honest thoughts. She also added a quiet evening ritual, like listening to soft music or writing a short note to a friend. These little acts of reflection and connection gave her emotions a gentle outlet, easing her mind and helping her return to sleep more peacefully. The truth is, the human heart doesn't follow a strict schedule. It remembers what it wants to remember, asks the questions it needs to ask, and sometimes does all this at 3 a.m. when everything else is quiet. But that's not a flaw, that's a sign of depth. If you find yourself waking up and feeling reflective, it might mean you're carrying wisdom that's ready to be acknowledged. You've lived through joys and heartbreaks, and those experiences shape not just your memories, but your very sense of self. Rather than seeing these wake-ups as something to fix, try approaching them with curiosity and kindness. What is your mind trying to tell you? What do you need to give voice to? What part of you needs a little grace, even in the dark? Sometimes the most meaningful kind of rest comes not from ignoring these moments, but from honoring them. In doing so, you may find not only better sleep, but a richer understanding of yourself in this stage of life. Final thoughts. As we wrap up this video, take a quiet moment to reflect on what you've just heard. What resonated with you the most? Was it the shift in your internal clock, the subtle changes in your health, or perhaps something deeper, an emotional rhythm that only shows itself when the world is still? Each of these 5 reasons offers a different lens through which to understand your early morning wake-ups. And none of them point to something wrong or broken. In fact, they each reveal how deeply your body and mind are still working, still responding, still adapting as you move through this stage of life. There's a quiet power in understanding what your body's trying to say, especially in those soft hours before dawn. Rather than seeing 3 a.m. wake-ups as a nuisance, you might begin to see them as messages, gentle signals, reminding you to listen a little more closely to your needs, your habits, and your heart. You're not alone in this experience, and you're certainly not the only one searching for answers. But with insight comes strength, and with strength comes the freedom to make small, meaningful changes that support better rest, deeper comfort, and a stronger connection to your own rhythms. If you've recognized yourself in any of these reasons today, know that you're not just aging, you're evolving. And with that evolution comes a chance to rest more intentionally, to care for yourself more gently, and to greet each morning with a bit more understanding and peace. Thank you for joining us today. Have you ever wondered who will truly be there for you in the end? As the years pass, people enter and exit your life, some staying only for a season, others fading away with time. But when you reach your later years, it becomes clear that not everyone is meant to walk with you until the very end. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 types of people who are most likely to remain by your side in old age. These are the relationships that endure, the bonds that time cannot easily break. Some may surprise you, while others might make you reflect on who has truly been there for you all along. Make sure to stay until the very end, because understanding who stays and why can change the way you approach relationships in your own life. Now, let's get started. Number 1, family members who truly care. Not all family members stay close, and not all of them offer the kind of love and loyalty that lasts a lifetime. But in the end, the ones who truly care, the ones who see you as more than just an obligation, are the ones who remain. They don't show up out of duty or because they feel they have to. They are there because they want to be, because your presence in their life still means something to them. Many people assume that family bonds guarantee lifelong connection, but that isn't always the case. As you age, you start to see who in your family genuinely values you and who has simply drifted away over time. Some relatives will visit out of a sense of responsibility, appearing out of habit but never staying long enough to form meaningful conversations. But then there are those who check in on you because they genuinely care about how you're doing. They're the ones who call, who make time, who show up not just on holidays, but on the ordinary days simply to spend time with you. This isn't always limited to children or grandchildren either. It could be a sibling who has remained close throughout your life, or even a niece or nephew who steps up in ways you never expected. These are the family members who don't see aging as an inconvenience, but as a part of life that deserves just as much love and attention as any other stage. They don't avoid difficult conversations about health, finances, or the future. They face them with you, offering their support without making you feel like a burden. And while love is often what holds these relationships together, actions matter just as much. The ones who remain don't just say they care, they show it. They are patient when you need help. They listen when you have something to say. And they make sure you still feel valued, no matter how much time has passed. They understand that relationships are a two-way street, and they continue to invest in you even as life changes. Not everyone is lucky enough to have this kind of family support, and that's why it's so important to nurture these relationships while you can. Because in the end, it's not about how many family members you have, it's about which ones truly care enough to stay. Number 2, a lifelong friend who stood the test of time. True friendships are rare. Over the course of a lifetime, people drift in and out of your life, some for a few years, some for a few decades. But if you're lucky, there's one friend who never leaves, no matter how much time passes or how many changes life brings. This isn't the friend who was only around during the good times, or the one who disappeared when things got tough. This is the friend who has seen you at your best and your worst, and still chooses to stay. A lifelong friend is someone who doesn't need constant updates to know where they stand with you. You may go weeks or months without talking, yet when you do, the conversation picks up right where it left off. There is no awkwardness, no need to explain the passage of time. They know your history, where you've been, what you've been through, and what truly matters to you. And as the years go by, they are one of the few people who still see you as you were, before the world tried to reshape you. The beauty of a friendship that lasts a lifetime is that it's built on something deeper than convenience. It isn't based on circumstance, like work, colleagues, or neighbors who come and go. It isn't built on obligation, like some family ties. It's a choice, one made over and over again, across decades of shared experiences, laughter, and challenges. This is the friend who sat beside you when life felt uncertain, who celebrated your victories and mourned your losses as if they were their own. And in old age, when the world begins to shrink and social circles grow smaller, this kind of friendship becomes even more valuable. While others may be too busy or preoccupied with their own lives, this friend still makes time for you. They check in, not because they feel they have to, but because they want to. They don't see you as just another obligation. They see you as a part of their life, one they wouldn't want to imagine without you. This friend might be someone you've known since childhood, or they might be someone you met later in life who simply stayed. Regardless of how long you've known them, what matters is that they remain. They remind you of who you are, who you've always been, and they make aging feel a little less lonely. In the end, it's not about how many friends you had throughout your life. It's about whether even one of them stayed when it truly mattered. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, the partner who chose to stay. If you are fortunate enough to have a lifelong partner, their presence in your later years is one of the greatest gifts you can have. Relationships are not always easy, and many do not last a lifetime. But the ones that do, those built on patience, love, and deep understanding, become even more precious as time goes on. A partner who stays is someone who has seen you change, who has weathered the storms with you, and who, despite everything, still chooses to walk beside you. In youth, love often feels exciting, passionate, and full of possibility. But in old age, love takes on a different form. It becomes quieter, deeper, and more about companionship than grand gestures. A partner who remains is someone who no longer loves you for how you look, what you achieve, or what you can offer. They love you simply for who you are. They have seen you in moments of strength and in times of weakness. And yet they have never once considered leaving your side. Many people assume that marriage or long-term commitment guarantees a person will be there in the end, but that's not always the case. Some relationships fade as time passes, while others only grow stronger. The difference lies in effort, the willingness to continue choosing each other, even when life gets hard. A partner who stays is not someone who only stood beside you in the good times. They are the person who held your hand when things got tough, who reminded you of your worth when you doubted yourself, and who remained steady when the rest of the world felt uncertain. Aging with a partner means sharing the simple moments that many take for granted. Morning, coffee, quiet conversations, and the familiarity of someone who knows you better than anyone else. While some fear growing old alone, those with a committed partner never truly feel alone. Even as the years take their toll, even as health declines or energy fades, their presence remains a source of comfort, reminding you that you don't have to go through it all by yourself. And in the end, when so many other relationships fall away, the partner who stays is often the one who knows your story best. They've witnessed the moments that shaped you, the struggles that strengthened you, and the experiences that defined your life. They are the person who sees you not just as you are now, but as the person you have always been. And when everything else fades, that kind of love is what truly lasts. Number 4, someone you helped in the past. Life has a way of bringing kindness full circle. At some point, you've likely helped someone, offering support, lending a hand, or simply being there when they needed you most. You may not have thought much of it at the time, but in the end, the people you once helped are often the ones who come back to stand by your side. They may not be the ones you expected, but their presence is a reminder that the good you put into the world doesn't just disappear, it finds its way back to you. This could be a younger friend, a former neighbor, or even someone you mentored years ago. It could be the person you encouraged during a difficult time, or the one who found strength in your words when they felt lost. Sometimes it's a former coworker who remembers the way you treated them, or a distant relative who never forgot a kindness you once showed. Regardless of who they are, they remain because at some point you made a difference in their life, and now they want to do the same for you. Unlike family, they don't stay because of obligation. Unlike a lifelong friend, they may not have been with you through every chapter of your life. But what makes their presence so meaningful is that they made the choice to return. They were never required to be there. Yet when they saw you needed support, they stepped forward without hesitation. It's a powerful reminder that kindness has a lasting impact, that even the smallest acts of generosity can plant seeds that grow into something far greater than you ever imagined. In old age, when many social circles grow smaller, the presence of someone you once helped can be a source of great comfort. They may not have been part of your everyday life before, but now in your later years, they become an unexpected source of companionship. They offer help without making you feel like a burden. They remind you that the connections you build, even if they seem fleeting at the time, still hold value. And often this person will say something that makes it all clear: I remember when you helped me, and I never forgot. That moment, that realization, is when you truly understand that everything you did for others, every act of kindness, every moment of support mattered. Because in the end, those who stay are not always the ones you expected, but rather the ones who remember the love you gave when they needed it most. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, the unexpected companion. Sometimes the person who remains by your side in the end is not the one you expected. Life has a way of surprising us, and as the years pass, relationships shift in ways we never could have predicted. While some people gradually fade away, others step forward, often individuals you may not have considered a close part of your life before. It could be a caregiver, a neighbor, or even an acquaintance who turns into family. What makes them special is not how long you've known them, but the fact that when it mattered most, they chose to stay. This unexpected companion could be someone you met late in life, perhaps in a senior community, or even by chance in the neighborhood. Maybe they started as a friendly face who helped with errands or checked in from time to time. Over the years, their presence became more consistent, and before you knew it, they were the person who made sure you never felt alone. These are the people who show up not out of duty, but because they genuinely care. For some, this unexpected person might be a professional caregiver, someone who was once a stranger but over time became a true companion. While they may have started as someone hired to help, their kindness, patience, and willingness to listen created a bond beyond just routine care. They became a friend, someone who remembers your stories, laughs at your jokes, and sits with you not because they have to, but because they want to. And then there are the neighbors, the ones who check in, who bring over a meal when they sense you might need it, who sit with you on the porch just to chat about nothing in particular. They were never obligated to be in your life, yet they made the decision to be present. And in the end, their consistency matters more than how long you've known them. This final group of people teaches a powerful lesson. The ones who stay are not always the ones you planned on, but they are the ones who chose to be there. They remind you that love and loyalty aren't always about blood or history. They are about effort, about presence, about showing up when it counts. And in your later years, when so much of life has already been written, their presence reminds you that even in the final chapters, new and meaningful connections can still be formed. Final thoughts. As we come to the end of this video, take a moment to reflect on the people in your life. Who do you believe will stay with you in the long run? Who has already proven that they will be there no matter what? The truth is, we don't always get to choose who remains, but we do get to appreciate those who do. The ones who stay are not always the ones we expect. Sometimes it's family members who truly care, not out of obligation, but out of love. Sometimes it's that one lifelong friend who never let distance or time weaken your bond. If you are lucky, it's a partner who has been by your side through every challenge, every triumph, and every quiet moment in between. And sometimes it's the people you least expected, the person you once helped who never forgot your kindness, or the neighbor, caregiver, or acquaintance who chose to stand by you simply because they wanted to. Life changes, people come and go, and as the years pass, the number of those who remain may grow smaller. But in the end, it isn't about quantity, it's about the quality of the relationships that endure. The ones who stay are the ones who value you, respect you, and see you for who you truly are. They are the ones who remind you that no matter how much time passes, you are not alone. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching.
Grandma, why do you always have a weird smell?
Mom says it's just your scent. That single sentence made 70-year-old Helen Turner feel her whole world collapse. She had lived a tidy, clean life, yet her beloved granddaughter still said that to her. The child no longer sat on her lap and would even wrinkle her nose slightly when asked for a hug. That night, Helen pulled the covers over her head and cried quietly for hours. That distinctive smell some people notice in older adults isn't about being dirty or neglectful. It's about biology, changes in skin chemistry, and a few forgotten areas of the body that often get missed during regular cleaning. And the good news is, once you know where those spots are, the problem becomes surprisingly easy to fix. In this video, we're going to uncover 6 specific areas of the body that are most often responsible for that old person, smell, and show you how giving them a little extra attention can eliminate up to 99% of the odor. From places you might never think to check to habits that make all the difference, each area reveals just how much. Your sense of freshness depends on what happens behind the scenes. You'll discover why some people seem to carry a scent, even when they bathe regularly, and how subtle changes in your routine can dramatically shift the way you feel, and how others respond to you. Stick with us until the end, because once you learn about these 6 spots, you'll never go back to your old habits again. This isn't about buying expensive products or scrubbing your skin. It's about knowledge. It's about understanding your body and using that knowledge to feel clean, confident, and completely in control. If you've ever felt self-conscious, avoided hugs, or worried about how you come across in social situations, this video might just lift that burden off your shoulders. Let's get started. Area 1, behind the ears. One of the most commonly missed areas when it comes to daily hygiene is right behind the ears. It's such a small space, barely noticeable in the mirror. And for that very reason, it often gets overlooked. But what most people don't realize is that this area is rich in sebaceous glands. tiny oil-producing spots that tend to become more active with age. As we get older, our skin produces a specific type of oil called non-enol, which mixes with sweat and dead skin cells. When that mixture sits undisturbed behind the ears, it creates a stale, musty odor that lingers long after you've showered. There was a gentleman named Walter, 79, who bathed regularly and always used cologne, yet his granddaughter gently mentioned that he smelled a little funny when she hugged him. At first, he was embarrassed. He prided himself on staying clean. But with some gentle curiosity, he started adjusting his routine and realized he never really washed behind his ears. A soft cloth, warm water, and a few seconds each day made a difference. So dramatic that even he noticed it. The subtle odor vanished and his confidence returned almost immediately. This kind of smell isn't the result of poor hygiene. It's often the result of incomplete hygiene. Behind the ears, the skin folds slightly and traps oil. If you wear glasses, the effect is even stronger as the frames press against the skin and hold that buildup in place. It doesn't take much to clean it, just consistency. A quick swipe with a warm, damp cloth during your morning or evening routine can help reduce the oil buildup. And using a mild, non-drying cleanser once or twice a week keeps the area clear without irritating your skin. There's also a psychological element to this. Many older adults associate behind the ear cleaning with childhood, when parents would remind them to wash behind your ears. Somewhere along the way, that habit falls away, replaced by quicker showers and fewer mirror checks. But small as it may seem, this area holds more weight than most realize. Odors that start here tend to spread upward toward the scalp and downward along the collar, affecting how others experience your presence, even if they never say a word. If you've ever been puzzled by lingering smells, despite keeping up with your hygiene, this may be the missing piece. It's not about scrubbing or using harsh products. It's about awareness. When you reclaim those little spaces the years have taught you to ignore, you also reclaim a sense of freshness that people around you will feel, even if they can't explain exactly why. You'll feel better, lighter, and more at ease in your own skin. And sometimes it really is as simple as going back to the basics. Area 2, nape of the neck. Tucked quietly beneath the hairline and often shaded by collars, scarves, or long hair, the nape of the neck is one of the most neglected places when it comes to daily washing and one of the most underestimated sources of body odor in older adults. This area is a crossroads of sweat glands, hair oils, and dead skin cells, all of which can build up quickly without ever making a noticeable mess. That's part of what makes it so tricky. There's often no visible dirt, no sign that anything's wrong. But left unwashed, this small stretch of skin becomes a silent contributor to what some people call old person smell. Ruth, 76, had always been meticulous about her hygiene. Her clothes were pressed, her hair well kept, and she never missed a shower. But she noticed that on warmer days, especially after being outside or under the sun, she would catch a whiff of something she couldn't quite place, almost like a sour or sweaty scent. Even when she was freshly dressed, after some time and careful reflection, she realized she wasn't thoroughly washing the nape of her neck, especially at the end of a long day. It wasn't until her hairdresser mentioned a little extra buildup at her neckline that she decided to start paying attention. A simple change in her shower routine solved the mystery within days. The nape of the neck traps sweat, especially in hot weather or under layers of clothing. If you wear your hair long or have hair that rests against your collar, the natural oils from your scalp slide down and collect at the base. Add in the pressure and warmth from shirt collars or jacket hoods, and you've got the perfect recipe for bacterial growth. That bacteria is what produces odor, not the sweat itself. But what happens when sweat sits too long in a warm enclosed spot? Most people wash their face and their hair, but skip that small patch of skin in between. Over time, it becomes a holding zone for grime and scent. And because it's so close to the head and shoulders, it can affect how people perceive your cleanliness, especially in social situations like hugging or sitting close. The nape is where people's noses often land during an embrace, and it's where heat tends to rise when you're in a warm room. That's why even the cleanest person can give off an unintended odor. If this one little area is missed, washing the nape isn't complicated. A warm washcloth and a few extra seconds during your shower are all it takes. Make sure to gently scrub the area, especially after sweating, and pay attention to how your skin feels afterward. It should be soft, clean, and free of that slightly tacky residue that indicates lingering oil. If you wear cologne or lotion, applying it to this spot only after it's clean will help it smell better. and last longer without mixing with old residue. Beyond the practical reasons, there's something emotionally powerful about paying attention to these small details. It's a reminder that you still care for yourself with intention, that your body deserves the same respect now as it did decades ago, that your presence, how you feel, how you smell, how you move, still matters in the spaces you share with others. When you tend to these quiet corners of your body, you also tend to the dignity and pride that carry you through each day. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Area 3, under the breasts or in skin folds. This is one of those areas people rarely talk about, yet it plays a major role in body odor. Especially as we age and our skin becomes softer, looser, or more prone to folding. Whether it's under the breasts, around the abdomen, beneath the buttocks, or in any place where skin touches skin, these hidden folds create the perfect environment for heat, moisture, and bacteria to settle in. And once that starts, it doesn't take long for a strong, unpleasant smell to develop, often without the person noticing it themselves. Patricia, 72, was always very neat, the kind of woman who kept a clean house, dressed elegantly, and took pride in her appearance. But she began to feel self-conscious during summer months, especially on humid days. She'd notice a faint sour smell in the evenings. Even after bathing in the morning, she tried changing her detergent, switching her deodorant, even buying new clothes. Nothing worked until a nurse at her wellness clinic suggested she gently clean and dry the areas under her breasts and along her waistline each day. Within a week, the odor was gone. What many people don't realize is that these areas can stay damp for hours even after a shower. That lingering moisture, especially in warmer weather or under multiple layers of clothing, creates the ideal setting for bacterial and fungal growth. It's not about dirt, it's about climate. These tucked away zones are warm, dark, and often compressed, which allows sweat and natural body oils to ferment into odor-causing compounds. And because they're not exposed to air or sunlight, they rarely dry out on their own. There's also a layer of discomfort that comes with talking about it. For some, these areas feel too private or maybe even embarrassing to address. But ignoring them doesn't make the problem go away, it makes it worse. And as the skin in those areas becomes more delicate with age, the irritation and odor can increase. Redness, itching, or a raw feeling might be signs that the skin is breaking down under pressure and moisture. Left untreated, this can turn into painful rashes or infections that make even simple movement uncomfortable. The good news is, a small change in your hygiene routine can make a huge difference. After your shower, take a soft towel and gently pat dry under any folds of skin, especially under the breasts, belly, or other areas where you tend to sweat. Consider using a gentle, fragrance-free powder or moisture-wicking cloth to help reduce humidity throughout the day. Some people even use cotton pads or breathable fabric liners to keep these areas dry and odor-free. Just be sure to avoid anything overly harsh or heavily scented, which can cause irritation over time. Beyond physical comfort, this is also about emotional ease. When you know you smell clean, you walk differently. You lean in for hugs. You feel good putting on fresh clothes or spending time around others without wondering, can anyone else smell that? You carry yourself with confidence because you've taken care of the small details, and those small details matter, especially when they help you feel like your best self again. Odor that seems mysterious or persistent often traces back to one of these hidden folds. But once you know where to look and how to care for those areas, everything changes. It's not about feeling ashamed. It's about staying informed and empowered, and understanding that your comfort and self-respect are worth a few extra moments of care each day. Area 4, scalp and hairline. The scalp is one of the most overlooked sources of odor as we age. Not because people forget to wash their hair, but because they often don't clean their scalp itself. Many older adults still follow the same hair washing routine they learned in their youth: a quick shampoo, maybe a rinse, and done. But the truth is, your scalp isn't just a platform for your hair. It's living skin that produces oils, sheds dead cells, and absorbs environmental particles every single day. And when those things build up, they don't just sit quietly, they start to smell. Take Howard, 68, who always considered himself well-groomed. He kept his hair tidy, got regular haircuts, and never missed a shower. But he began noticing a faint sour or greasy scent coming from his head. especially on warm afternoons or after wearing a hat. At first, he thought it was his shampoo, but after a visit to his barber, he learned that he wasn't actually scrubbing his scalp. He was just washing the hair on top of it. Once he started using the pads of his fingers to gently massage and cleanse the scalp during each wash, the difference was immediate. The odor vanished, and even his hair felt lighter and healthier. As we get older, the scalp tends to produce more sebum, which is the natural oil that helps keep the skin hydrated. But when it's not removed properly, that oil mixes with sweat, product residue, and dead skin cells, creating a distinct odor that no amount of perfume or hairspray can cover up. Add to that the effects of medication, reduced circulation, and less frequent sweating compared to younger years, and the scalp becomes a quiet holding tank for smells that slowly radiate outward. The hairline, especially around the temples and nape, is where this becomes most noticeable. Hats, wigs, or headscarves can trap warmth and block airflow, turning the scalp into a miniature greenhouse. Even thinning hair, which exposes more of the scalp to air, can make odors more detectable. You might not smell it yourself, but others who come close, during a haircut, a hug, or even a handshake, might notice something off. And because it's such a subtle issue, people rarely say anything. They just quietly pull away or keep their distance. To clean your scalp effectively, you don't need harsh shampoos or deep treatments. What you need is time, pressure, and attention. Use your fingertips, not your nails, to massage the scalp in small circles, especially near the base of the skull, the top of the head, and behind the ears. Rinse thoroughly and make sure you're not leaving behind shampoo or conditioner residue, which can also contribute to odor. If you use styling products, make sure to cleanse them out regularly, as buildup is a major source of scalp-related smell. And don't underestimate the impact this has on your overall presence. A clean, healthy scalp doesn't just smell better, it changes how your hair moves, how your skin feels, and how you carry yourself. People respond to freshness even when they can't quite name it. You feel more comfortable, more present, and more at ease when you know that nothing is lingering around you. It's a quiet kind of confidence that comes from doing something just for yourself. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Area 5, belly button. It might surprise you, but the belly button is one of the most common places where odor quietly builds up, and one of the most forgotten spots during a daily wash. Tucked into the center of the body, the navel is a small enclosed space where sweat, dead skin, lint, and bacteria all gather, creating a kind of hidden pocket that few people think to clean. And over time, that buildup doesn't just sit there, it starts to ferment. The result is a smell that many older adults mistake for body odor from other areas, never realizing it's coming from the middle of their own torso. Charles, 74, began noticing a persistent odor that seemed to follow him throughout the day, no matter how often he showered or changed clothes. It puzzled him because he was careful about hygiene, even using antibacterial soap. But it wasn't until his wife asked if he had cleaned his belly button recently that he realized he hadn't touched it in years. With a gentle cotton swab and warm water, he started including his navel in his routine, and within days, the mysterious smell that had bothered him for months simply disappeared. The belly button, especially if it's deeper or slightly recessed, acts like a little cave. Moisture gets trapped there, especially in warm weather or after sweating. If you have a rounder belly, or if the waistband of your pants rests tightly around your midsection, that area can stay moist for hours at a time without you realizing it. It doesn't take much. Just a few missed washes, and the natural bacteria that live on your skin begin to multiply, feeding on the debris inside the navel and producing odor in the process. What makes the belly button tricky is that it doesn't always feel dirty. You don't see grime, you don't feel discomfort, and because it's a small enclosed space, the smell can rise slowly and subtly. Some people even mistake it for underarm odor or believe their shirts are retaining smell when it's actually coming from that tiny central spot on their body. And because few people talk about it, many simply never think to check there at all. Cleaning the belly button is simple, but should be done gently. During your shower, use a soft washcloth or your fingertip with mild soap and warm water. Gently clean inside the navel without forcing or scrubbing too hard. If you haven't cleaned it in a while, you might notice some dark debris or even a waxy buildup. That's normal and nothing to be embarrassed about. After rinsing, pat the area dry with a soft towel, making sure no moisture is left behind. If you're prone to sweating, you can use a small amount of alcohol-free toner or a cotton swab dipped in warm water for maintenance between showers. Including this small habit in your routine has more impact than most people realize. The belly button is central, not just physically, but in how others experience your personal scent. It sits close to your clothing, your hands, and even your midsection during conversations or meals. A clean navel means a cleaner you, in ways that influence how people feel around you and how you feel in your own skin. It's a small gesture that brings big returns, especially when you realize how something so simple can remove so much doubt and discomfort from your day. Area 6, groin and inner thighs. Among the most common yet least discussed sources of persistent body odor in older adults is the groin area, including the inner thighs. This part of the body naturally generates more warmth, moisture, and friction than almost any other region, making it a prime breeding ground for odor-causing bacteria. And because it's so closely tied to privacy, it's often the last area people feel comfortable addressing, even with themselves. But if you've ever noticed a lingering scent that doesn't go away even after a bath, or if your underwear seems to carry odor, no matter how often you wash it, this may be the place to start. Take Leonard, 81, a retired firefighter who prided himself on staying active and clean. He would walk every morning, shower daily, and use fresh clothes each time. But he started noticing a musky smell in the afternoons, something he couldn't place. His doctor ruled out infections and suggested he pay extra attention to the folds and skin around the groin and thighs. Leonard admitted that while he washed the area, he often rushed through it. He started taking a bit more time, using mild soap, drying thoroughly, and occasionally applying moisture-wicking powder. The result was immediate. Not only did the odor vanish, but he also felt fresher and more comfortable throughout the day. This part of the body is naturally full of sweat glands. With age, the skin becomes softer and may start to sag slightly, which increases the number of folds where moisture can get trapped. Add to that tight-fitting clothes, synthetic underwear, or long periods of sitting, and the skin doesn't get a chance to breathe. What begins as simple dampness turns quickly into irritation, odor, and sometimes even infection if left unchecked. The groin area is also in close proximity to the digestive and urinary systems, which adds even more potential for subtle but persistent scent issues. One of the key challenges with this area is friction. When the inner thighs rub together during walking, especially in warmer weather or with less supportive undergarments, the skin can break down, making it more vulnerable to bacteria. That same friction makes it harder to fully dry the area, especially if you're in a rush. And because it's a private zone, most people simply don't talk about it, which leads many to believe they're alone in dealing with this issue. But they're not. It's far more common than people realize, and much easier to manage once you know how. The solution doesn't involve harsh products or invasive steps. It starts with using a soft, unscented soap and warm water to gently wash the entire area, including the creases where the thighs meet the pelvis. After rinsing, it's crucial to dry thoroughly. A clean, soft towel should be used to gently pat dry, taking care not to rub or irritate the skin. For those prone to sweating, applying a gentle talc-free powder can help absorb moisture throughout the day. Choosing breathable cotton underwear and changing it daily, or more often in warm weather, also helps reduce buildup and keeps the area fresh. There's a dignity that comes with knowing your body is cared for. The groin and inner thighs may feel like private terrain, but they play a very public role in how you feel and how others interact with you. When this area is clean and comfortable, your movements feel smoother, your clothing feels fresher, and you carry yourself with a quiet assurance that others pick up on, even if they can't quite name it. This is not just hygiene, it's self-respect. It's claiming the right to feel confident in your own skin at any age. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Final thoughts. As we close out this video, I want you to pause for a moment and think about what we just uncovered. Which of these 6 areas surprised you the most? Was there one that made you think, I haven't cleaned that spot in years? Or maybe one you've struggled with without realizing why? Each area we explored today isn't just about physical cleanliness. It's about rediscovering comfort, restoring confidence and reclaiming a sense of freshness that belongs to you no matter your age. When you give a little more care to the places that often go unnoticed, you start to feel more present in your own body, and that feeling is powerful. Too often, older adults carry quiet worries about how they smell, how others might perceive them, or whether something's off without knowing where it's coming from. These thoughts can weigh heavily, especially when they're left unspoken. But today you've taken an important step, not just toward better hygiene, but toward peace of mind. Knowing exactly where odor hides gives you the power to remove it. And that kind of knowledge gives you back control over how you feel in the world, in your home, and with your loved ones. This isn't about perfection. It's about awareness. It's about breaking the silence around a topic many people tiptoe around, and doing so with dignity, warmth, and truth. When you care for yourself in these quiet, detailed ways, you're not just avoiding odor, you're showing yourself the respect you deserve. Because you've lived a full life, you've earned the right to feel clean, comfortable, and completely at ease every single day. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.